Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2545 1 against 4-1. Jangi turned around and addressed the crowd in the human seats. Gentlemen, we were already at a disadvantage in today's game. If we retreat even half a step now, every step we take afterward will be forced to retreat. You all know the reasons, and so do I. Our great powers already occupy the most fertile lands on Earth. If Huashu Kingdom encounters problems, you will hardly be able to escape unscathed. So, I'm doing this not only for the benefit of the Huashu Kingdom, but also for you. Zhang Yi's gaze was deep, and the meaning behind his words was, "Don't forget, I'm your father." After this negotiation meeting, every country will owe me a huge favor. Everyone understood the meaning behind Zhang Yi's words, but they also had to admit that Zhang Yi was right. Morgan lowered his voice. "You've won one game. You've brought the venue back. Let's take another gamble, just in case." "I understand your concerns," Zhang Yi nodded. "But this isn't about taking another gamble. It's about showing them that 6 generations aren't just strips of cloth to be kneaded. Fists are the opening act of negotiations, not the closing act. We need to remove the most dangerous knife from our necks first before we can discuss the subsequent terms." King Arthur looked at him and slowly nodded. "If this battle can earn the awe of all races, then it is certainly worthwhile. But Chaos, He was about to ask, "Are you sure?" But when King Arthur met Zhang Yi's calm eyes hidden beneath the cold, gleaming mask of the End Demon armor, he fell silent. Instead, a smile appeared on her lips. They've been friends for many years, and he knows Zhang Yi's personality all too well. This is a guy who never puts himself in a dangerous position, can cower in the face of a strong person, and would never try to be a hero. When he decides to do something dangerous, your first suspicion shouldn't be that he's gone mad. Rather, it's because you severely underestimated his abilities. It could even be said that many people present had suffered greatly because they underestimated Zhang Yi's abilities. "I understand. Keep it up." Zhang Yi smiled at them. "There's nothing to worry about. I will win this battle." As soon as he finished speaking, he faced the huge negotiating table again. His gaze swept over the representatives of the 4 tribes, as if confirming the attendance list. "So, your answers?" Gushan raised a hand covered by armor plates and pressed it behind him. A line of armored warriors stepped back in unison, making room for him. His voice was like a stone striking another stone. "I agree. The boundary is the sea and the limit is death or surrender. If you lose, the entire 6 generations of your race will be reduced and withdrawn proportionally." Guchuan said in a deep voice, "I also agree with the principles." Kong said calmly, "I have no objection." Fong never cares whether his opponent is 1 or 4. Kroba grinned, revealing his teeth. "I only ever care about the feeling of biting. Let's get started. Don't let the blood cool down." All 4 men's eyes were filled with intense fighting spirit, and their murderous intent enveloped Zhang Yi as if they wanted to tear him apart. None of the 4 of them mentioned taking turns. After all, this battle concerns the future of their people, not their personal gains or losses. Therefore, we cannot afford to make any mistakes, and this is not the time to play the hero. They felt that they were much smarter and more rational than Zhang Yi. One of the construct knights said, "Very well. We other races will be your witnesses. The 4 of you races will settle the score with a single battle against the Huashu Kingdom." A sea breeze blew intermittently around the outer edge of the venue, causing the flags to flutter in the wind. The elders of the Thousand Hands clan whispered among themselves, while 2 cold glints were reflected in the snake eyes of the 3-headed clan. On the human seats, Morgan, King Arthur, Olivier, and others exchanged glances, silently calming their nerves. Everyone was very curious about the upcoming battle, wondering how Zhang Yi would manage to fight 4 strong opponents of the same level as him at the same time. Alexei couldn't help but speak up. "Brother Chaos, What if things don't go well? There won't be that what-if scenario. Zhang Yi's voice was gentle. Leave everything to me. I, Zhang Yi, never make mistakes. I value my own life above all else, so there's no need to doubt that I will perish. Morgan took a deep breath. Then we'll go with your pace. If Zhang Yi loses, other countries will also be at a disadvantage in territorial negotiations. However, they cannot blame Zhang Yi. At this time, Zhang Yi seemed to have a choice, but in reality, apart from fighting, he had no choice but to give up the territory. Perhaps from beginning to end, they had no choice but to move forward in this negotiation. King Arthur, sword in hand, bowed to him. Once foreign aid is permitted, I will act immediately, regardless of the cost. Even knowing he was no match for a knight-level opponent, he would still do everything in his power to rescue Zhang Yi. Oreb nodded slightly, the swastika drawing a simple arc on his chest. May God be with you, and protect you in your invincible battles. Zhang Yi turned around, as if gently closing a door. He raised his hand, his fingers empty, yet it was as if he were holding an invisible string. His voice regained its usual calm and even tone. You four, since you believe that 6 generations can only be used as a seed of life, then you'll have to get past me first. Gu Shan nodded emphatically. Remember every word you said. Guchuan replied in a deep voice. We will keep our promise and decide the ownership of the territory in this battle. The waves crashed against the edge of the platform, splashing up white salt that shattered into countless tiny sparkles in the sunlight. All eyes of all races converged once more, and the air seemed to be slowly tightened by an invisible hand. Zhang Yi and the powerful figures from the 4 clans left the venue and arrived at the vast grassland, where the surrounding land stretched for thousands of miles, and the view was wide open. In the air above the Australian grasslands, Zhang Yi, clad in the jet-black armor of the End Demon God, was completely enveloped by a transparent aura of the myriad phenomena of the universe. The 4 powerful clans opposite them formed an arc. The auras of the 4 powerful clans converged slowly towards the center, like 4 walls falling from the sky. Kroba of the Fawn Wolf clan was tall and slender, with a cold glint in his wolf head and a flowing dark pattern beneath his back muscles, like lurking folds in space. The Ironclad clan's Gushan armor is covered with overlapping plates, black iron and dark silver stitched together, the shoulder armor raised like a mountain ridge, each step creating a subtle tremor. The Sky clan's void has no fixed form. It is merely a transparent vortex that reaches the heavens, with static-filled flames hanging from its edges, and clouds and thunderous intent floating within. Guchuan of the Titan race has a single eye as clear as a still lake, with a ring of dark gold markings around its eye socket, the markings of the Tooth of Time. The wind was a bit chilly before the battle began. Kroba laughed first, revealing his jagged fangs. The strongest of the 6th generation, you actually dare to attempt to take on 4 at once? Your guts are thicker than your armor. If you kneel down now, I'll make sure you die a clean death. Chapter 2546-1 against 4-2. Gushin's voice echoed like 2 pieces of iron colliding in the canyon. Leave your name here. When we cross this grassland, we'll need a stepping stone. Zhang Yi looked at them, his eyes calm and indifferent, as if he were looking at 4 ants. Are you afraid of me? It's ridiculous to provoke me in such a clumsy way. Kroba snorted coldly. Let's see how long you can keep up your stubbornness. Let's begin. Guchuan spoke emotionlessly, his single eye slowly glowing. Time waits for no race. Deal with them as soon as possible. Then divide up their land. The empty column of air expanded outward by half an inch, and the wind pressure instantly dropped by half a level, causing the grassy sea to droop. The auras of the 4 powerful figures pressed down like mountains, making the air so stuffy that it was almost impossible to breathe. Representatives from all races and from 6 generations of various countries stared intently at the battlefield, afraid of missing any part of the battle. Then let's go. Zhang Yi looked up, and the dial of his left eye quietly appeared in his iris, the second hand gently ticking. The second hand of time predicts everything within 5 seconds of the future. The first wave of attacks from the 4 night-level powerhouses was like a torrential downpour. Sky-shattering cannon. Kroba roared, and he was the first to make a move, having been impatient for so long. His wolf head tilted slightly back, and a colorless ripple burst from deep in his throat, as if a piece of air had been suddenly sucked away. Immediately afterwards, a black elliptical object shot out of his mouth, its edges twisted, its interior filled with spatial energy condensed to a frenzied state. Those are shells that can bite through space. Wherever they pass, the grass is stretched into a long, transparent ditch with completely misaligned optical refraction. 10,000 Thundernet. The empty column of air suddenly exploded, and silvery lightning, like countless thin snakes, fell from the clouds, intertwining to form 9 layers of electric curtains that converged towards the center. The Great Reincarnation Cannon. Gu Shan raised his hands high, and a terrifying energy formed between his arms. The purest energy transformed into a huge sphere, which he then hurled fiercely toward Jangi. Boom! The roar was deafening. A beam of highly concentrated supernatural particles transformed into a dense pillar of light, traversing the grassland. The titans were over 20 meters tall. Gutchawin's single eye, its pupil dilated silently. Strands of golden light formed rings, then began to overlap, creating a dazzling and mesmerizing brilliance. The cycle of heaven and earth turns. As soon as Gu Chawin finished speaking, the shadow of the grass beneath Zhang feet moved backward an inch. All the tiny muscle contractions, etheric guidance, and breathing rhythms that he was preparing for within 5 seconds seemed to have had their raw materials taken away, and for the next 5 seconds, it was as if someone had quietly stolen a corner of them. Zhang eyes flickered slightly, and he felt as if his abilities had been weakened. Time-based abilities? As a top-tier time-space ability user, Zhang Yi has an extremely keen perception of other ability users of the same attribute. In Gutchawin's single eye, which radiated golden light, he saw the cycle of time. The cycle of heaven and earth allows one to see through the past and understand a person's history. Furthermore, the causes and effects of the past weaken one's present power. This is a powerful ability to influence cause and effect through time. The 4 opponents Zhang Yi faces this time possess abilities related to time, space, enhancement, and the Celestial Clan's natural ability to control wind and thunder. With all the attributes gathered, even someone as powerful as Zhang Yi had to take it seriously. The slightest mistake could lead to disaster if he were fighting alone. They're here. In the human camp, someone instinctively grabbed their companion's wrist, the veins on the back of their fingers bulging. Can chaos do it? The moment the battle broke out, the 4 alien races at the night level went all out, 4 against 1. Although they didn't have the obsession with being strong, they didn't want to drag it out for too long. Otherwise, even if they win, other races will think they are weak. Therefore, we must take down Zhang Yi as quickly as possible. Zhang Yi's body remained motionless. He merely raised his hand. The myriad phenomena of the universe. 3,000 dimensional gates bloomed around him in an instant, expanding to 1,000 meters beyond his body. The layers upon layers of dimensional gates were transparent, as thin as cicada wings, and moved as slowly as a galaxy. The net of lightning descended, and the electric snakes flashed briefly on the doorframe before being devoured, like sugar being licked flat. The beam of light from the Great Reincarnation Cannon twisted into a single beam, only boiling for a moment upon entering before sinking into the silent darkness. The sky-shattering cannon plunged in headfirst, like a fish being dragged into a deep well, leaving not even a bubble behind. All attacks, upon touching the dimensional gate, did not result in any energy collision. Instead, it simply disappeared into another dimension. How so? Kroba's voice rose, and his wolf eyes narrowed sharply. The tearing wave of the shattering cannon was locked by its extra-dimensional dimension. The rapidly ticking voice of the construct on the ground reads, "Space throughput threshold exceeded." The cavity behind its door is a huge space that is constantly expanding. We cannot detect the upper limit. When Sun Yan was fighting Zhang Yi, she had no chance to get close to him, so the people of the myriad races did not know how strong Zhang Yi's defensive capabilities were. Only now did they stare at the scene in utter astonishment. Zhang Yi blocked the combined attack of 4 night-level experts at the same time, without even moving his body, doing it very casually. 6 generations in chaos. Someone murmured this name. In every era, in every age of humanity, there will always be geniuses born. They are seedlings specially selected by the Creator to suppress the druk gods. I thought that the 6th generation was a failed generation, that they had been abandoned. I never expected that such a person would still emerge from among them. Morgan and the others also let out a deep breath, their palms already damp with sweat. Only after seeing Zhang Yi calmly block the combined attack of 4 knights did he feel a little relieved. The wear and tear from the rotation of heaven and earth still exists. All of Zhang Yi's basic attributes have lost their luster, and even the ability of the time hand to predict the future has been shortened from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. However, the shortened time does not affect Zhang Yi's invincible defensive capabilities. With a gentle flick of the second hand in his left eye, a new 3 seconds unfolded in the depths of his pupil. You fought very hard. He smiled. But there's a problem. All your attacks are like cargo being moved into my warehouse. The more you move, the richer I become. This statement contains a profound meaning, but unfortunately, those who understood its meaning have all turned to ashes. Gu Shan, seething with anger, said, "Don't get carried away with words. This is just the beginning. Don't hold back anymore. This guy's defenses are incredibly strong. But once we break through his spatial barrier, he'll be extremely vulnerable." Gu Shan is an enhancement-type ability user. The Ironclad clan possesses the most powerful physique and unparalleled brute strength. Unfortunately, Zhang Yi's favorite type of opponent was one who only possessed strength. Here we end today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises.